More than 2,300 years ago, a Greek philosopher wrote about a powerful island civilization that vanished beneath the sea in a single day and night. It was advanced, wealthy, and militarily dominant, and then gone. He called it Atlantis. Was it fiction? A warning or a memory of something real? Because what's unsettling isn't that Atlantis might be a myth. It's that parts of the story don't feel entirely impossible. The story of Atlantis appears in just two ancient texts, Plato's dialogues, the Timaeus and Critias, written around 360 BCE. In them, Plato describes a vast island located beyond the Pillars of Heracles, which most people interpret as the Strait of Gibraltar. He paints a picture of a powerful naval civilization with incredible engineering canals, harbors, and a capital city made of concentric rings of land and water. And then, a sudden cataclysm. Earthquakes and floods that sank the entire island in a single terrible night. Plato claimed he didn't invent the story. He said it came from the Athenian lawmaker Solon, who supposedly heard it from Egyptian priests nearly 250 years earlier. Now that's already a second-hand account, which makes it a little shaky. But it raises a key question. Why would Plato invent such specific details about geography and engineering unless he wasn't inventing it at all? They try to conquer the world, and the gods, as a punishment, destroy them. It fits perfectly with Plato's philosophical style. He loved using stories to illustrate his political theories. But even the biggest skeptics have to admit, the level of detail in the geographical description is unusually specific for a simple fable. Which leads to our next big theory. Around 1600 BCE, one of the largest volcanic eruptions in human history occurred on the island of Thera, which we now call Santorini. This cataclysmic event devastated the advanced Minoan civilization on the nearby island of Crete. The explosion triggered massive tsunamis across the Mediterranean, collapsed large parts of Thera itself, and buried entire settlements in volcanic ash. The Minoans were expert sailors. They built complex cities, and they were the dominant culture in the region. Sounds familiar, right? Some researchers believe Plato's story of Atlantis is a distant, distorted cultural memory of this real-life catastrophe. But there's a big complication. Thera is inside the Mediterranean. Plato explicitly said Atlantis was beyond the Strait of Gibraltar, out in the Atlantic. The geography just doesn't line up. Unless, of course, the phrase beyond the pillars meant something different to the ancient Greeks than it does to us today. Over the centuries, people have tried to place Atlantis all over the map, in the middle of the Atlantic Ocean, near the Azores Islands, hidden in Spain's Donana marshlands in the Caribbean, and even under the ice of Antarctica. But so far, no confirmed archaeological site has ever perfectly matched Plato's description. However, what we have found is fascinating. Underwater archaeology has uncovered real ancient cities submerged around the world. There's Pavlopetri in Greece. Dating back to 2800 BCE, there are submerged structures off the coast of India, and debated ruins found near Cuba in 2001. We know that sea levels rose dramatically after the last ice age, which ended around 11,600 years ago. Entire coastal settlements from that era were lost to the rising waters. This timing is incredibly interesting because Plato claimed that Atlantis existed 9,000 years before his time. If you do the math, that places the fall of Atlantis right around 9,600 BCE, almost exactly when the Ice Age was ending and the seas were rising. Is that just a coincidence? Geologists are pretty clear on one thing. There is no massive sunken continent in the middle of the Atlantic Ocean that matches Plato's description. Plate tectonics just doesn't work that way. Entire continents don't just sink into the ocean in a day. But cities? Coastal civilizations? Those absolutely can and do disappear. The rising seas after the Ice Age submerged vast areas of what was once habitable land. We see ancient myths preserving distorted memories of real events all the time. From Mesopotamia and the Bible to Hindu and Mesoamerican traditions. Perhaps the story of Atlantis fits into that same pattern. But here's the one detail that keeps the mystery alive. The engineering. Plato describes Atlantis as having concentric circular canals, massive stone architecture, advanced harbor systems, and a highly organized political structure. For Plato's time, this was incredibly ambitious, but it wasn't impossible. The Minoans and the Egyptians had already demonstrated impressive engineering feats centuries before Plato wrote his dialogues, so the description doesn't require aliens or lost super technology. It just requires an organized human society, which we know already existed. So the question is not, Did a super civilization with flying machines sink into the ocean? There is zero evidence for that. The real, more compelling question is, did Plato base his moral tale on a distorted, ancient memory of a real Bronze Age catastrophe? That possibility remains very much open. Atlantis may not have been a continent, and it may not have ruled the world. But it might just reflect humanity's oldest and deepest fear, that even the most powerful civilizations can disappear overnight. In the end, the story of Atlantis survives because it speaks to something universal. The fragility of our power, the danger of arrogance, and the lingering memory of catastrophe. It's that haunting possibility that beneath the oceans, or buried under layers of sand, there are entire chapters of human history that we haven't uncovered yet. Maybe Atlantis was a myth. Maybe it was a metaphor, or maybe it was something smaller, something real, lost to the rising seas and the passage of time. And if entire cities really did once vanish beneath the waves, what else have we forgotten? The lost city of Atlantis may not be waiting to be discovered. But the human instinct to keep searching for it has never disappeared. Thanks for watching.